Happy Sunday. I hope everyone has had a wonderful weekend and you've been doing well during the month. I know my presence has been a little silent, but I have been working on the back end and also taking care of getting my kids back to school and a few family matters. So I'm happy to be back. I did want to go over a few charts with everyone today and kind of give you a few ideas of what you can anticipate going into the week. We'll try to set our trade plans for both scenarios. So if we have a bullish scenario, you'll have that based off of spies and the cues, and then you can also consider what happens if we have any more significant pullbacks and what we're looking for that. Before I get started, please do like, comment, and subscribe. It is very helpful to have your support. I really appreciate it. As always, the engagement, even in Discord, is always um, definitely a confidence booster for me to keep delivering for you guys because my only goal is to see you successful. I feel like that's a great accomplishment for me if I can touch and help anyone in any way. I do want to leave you with a word that I just found to be very powerful. And because of my interactions with so many people in the trading space, I find that a lot of times mindset is everything, and we often are stuck in the past. And so, even in our trading journey, things that have occurred in the past, things that have gone wrong in the past, always tends to affect our mindset and how we view and see things in the present and what we see for ourselves in the future. So, if you've experienced losses, if you've experienced just challenges in your trading journey in the past, and you still yourself present, but still there's something in your mind that's lingering, then you really should work on your trading psychology and you should really work on focusing on the present. If you are doing the work, if you are learning, if you are studying, if you are logging and journaling your trades, then the only thing that the past can do is teach you a lesson. It should not hinder your progression in going forward. And so sometimes, when you've experienced big losses, then yes, you're stuck in worry until you shift your mindset to just focus in on the present. The money is already lost, right? You've already lost it. But based on testimonies, especially, in the Wolf Discord, when traders post like, hey, I just accomplished something, 25K in the hole from year to date in my trading journey or all time, and I've recovered all because you know what? I studied, I focused, I presented myself every day, trying to be the best version of myself. I've seen it in many discords that it can happen that if you just put the work in, if you could just shift your mindset off of what has been lost. Yes, it's going to always be there. It's going to always linger there as a lesson. It should never be anything that hinders your past. And so I hope that helps someone so that as you go into the market, um, on Monday and for the rest of the year that you have a mindset of it did happen. What were the lessons I can learn from it? And now you're just on a recovery, but your goal is to just continue to present yourself better each week, each day. And so just focus on mindset. If you're struggling with trading psychology, what I did was I looked especially at the start of the year to really watch a lot of videos around trading psychology and do the work to shift my mindset. So I can have all the technicals, but if I'm not disciplined, if my mind is not right when I present myself, then I still will struggle. So I hope that helps someone, and I hope that you can reset and shift your mindset to kind of you don't want to get forget the losses. You just don't want them to hinder your opportunity to learn, grow, and recover it all and some. All right, so let's get into some charts. I have ETHA up. This is Ethereum Trust. It's an ETF. I let's see. So this particular ETF has been on my radar for a little bit, and I think initially around July. So July 21st, I was looking at it in a swing trade. If you would have got a contract for strike price $41, swung it out with an expiration of November 21st, you are up about 117% for a contract that cost only $183. So, mind you, if you grab multiples, then you are really up. And where are we now with ETHA? We're at all-time highs. We broke structure here on this last daily candle after a very nice pullback, which would have allowed for a nice re-entry. And once this order block was created, yeah, you had an opportunity to start planning an entry here. Of course, lots of movement happened on Friday following the market's reaction to Fed Powell. So ETH had a move of $4.65 when if you look here, on average, they have $1.71. If you compare this to the Ethereum chart in crypto, then you can see why we had such a nice move on Friday. Ethereum also had a nice run. Excuse me. So ETHA, I put it on my radar. Here's the thing, we're at all-time highs. I just wanted to bring it to your attention because this still has room to go as Ethereum may have any of their moves. So if you're following Ethereum, look at this. So we got this launched on July 24, 2024. And since then, the lowest that we've come is 1099. And since then, we're all the way up to 36,080 with definitely a lot of room to stamp in new highs. You're going to want to play this smart, entering on healthy pullbacks or strong breakouts, following it from a smaller time frame. Ideally, where we are now, we want to make sure that we hold above 3602. And if we're holding above 3602, then we have 3680 up and then so forth. What do? We can add in a fib extension. Just go in here real quick and actually it's not working for that one. Let me try this. Okay. All right, so we clean up here. If we look at fib, it can be projected above 3602 to get to 4804 over days, right? So this is on the daily chart. So as you change and you're using auto fib, you have to monitor the different time frames. Another way that you can look at where we can go next is to take the price of where we want our breakout to happen. So even if we base it, I'll just say off of 3680, right? And we add $1.71 because that is the average ATR showing right now, or whatever you see your ATR as going into the week. You add $1.71, and that's how much, from a daily perspective, you can anticipate a swing up or down on this particular ticker. So I would keep this one on watch again because as Ethereum is moving, you can follow this ETF. And like I said, the contracts for $168 are up to like three something. So and they don't expire till November. So that's a really nice solid swing. So I wanted to bring that one to your chart. I mean your watch list for the week. I also had Morgan Stanley on. I caught this one. I think in our Wolf Discord, we had a trade alert that we had a level 3 confirmation on MS. It's one that I've traded somewhere around here, if I remember correctly, and looking at another potential setup that could be brewing here. So all-time high. Let's just zoom out for a little bit. We're actually going to go to the monthly chart and see how we're closing the month of August so far. So far we broke the high of July, which was an all-time high, and we stamped the new all-time high at 149.08. So our key break is going to be 149.08 for a confirmation that we are going higher up. The thing with the daily chart, I mean the 4-hour chart, is that we did get a level 3, which is when we have a candle closing above our trend line, above our 12 EMA. We have a nice momentum candle here. Again, lots of movement on Friday following Jackson Hole and tone of the Fed. And we also have an inverse arc. So we'll see how this one plays out. If you're going to look to trade this one, maybe a potential pullback around 147, 146, and even closer to 145 would be ideal. If that doesn't happen, you're looking for a break above the previous day high. You can watch that. I would say the cleanest setup is if we confirm above 149.08 with strong candles holding. And I would base that maybe off 30 minutes for potential entry, 15-minute, 30-minute for potential entry. I'm going to map this one out a little bit more. You have to be cautious because we are all at all-time highs. If you add in the fib projections based off the daily, we can get to 152.70. Again, you can also calculate this based off your ATR. I do think Morgan Stanley is showing strength, but I do want to see how we go through Monday following such a big move on Friday. So not too much on Morgan Stanley other than if we don't get those type of breakouts, then you're looking to just retrace backwards, right? and see where we land. Ideally, if we can ever get back into this order block, this would be really nice of an entry. Um, Next time they'll have earnings is going to be October 15th. And here's their earnings from the last time when we had a nice, I think we posted pre-market July 16th, and we had a nice setup on July 16th pre-market, but we did pull back after this gap down, hit support, and wick right back up. So that was a nice sentiment. You can add in a anchor VWAP to this. We broke above anchor VWAP, hit an all-time high, came back, and we're moving back up again. So if we can hold above the 12 EMA on the daily chart, if we can hold above this anchor VWAP, if I can get price holding above and get an inverse arc, all signals of a nice sign that this stock wants to go up further. COP, I believe this was again another trade alert, and looking at it from the 1 hour chart, we have broken a trend line. So this was another one that gave us a floating candle. If you ever see someone saying a floating candle, that is level 3 confirmation off the wolf chart. This is when we break our trend line, and we're also above our 12 EMA. Again, good signal. What I'm looking for from here is to hold above about $97 and start to climb through to 98 and so forth. There is a nice order block here that I would love to see tested with time. And if we look at the overall trend, they've kind of just been in this range, right? So a nice breakout above 98.23 would be ideal. On the daily chart, let's see. I'm gonna hide a few things so we can just look at a blank canvas for a moment. So since they were at 106.20, this stock has come down all the way in April to, let's see, the low of 79.88. So pretty strong drop. And they have just been on a slow grind back up with, again, needing to break out of this current range from this candle here. Now, there looks to be, if you're just looking at the candles in the chart, a gap right here that since it was created, we have not came back to and challenged. So that would be a nice ideal target, getting us somewhere. See if I can get this out of the way. Getting us somewhere to probably 101.49. If we get a strong trend, again, breakout has to be breaking the candle here, 98.25. So I would keep that on watch. After it breaks 98.25, I have that it needs to break 99.64. That was here. We played around here, and then we did a nice bounce, and then this pullback happened. So there was this gap here, as you can see, that got filled. There's still this gap up here that has not been filled on a daily chart. So we'll see if they can grind their way up there. I do like that we had a level 4 confirmation on them. I do like 4 hour confirmations from the wolf chart. So those are my favorite for potential swing setups when you get it on the daily or you get it on the 4 hour. On the daily, it's actually showing signs that it could do the same. And next candle give us a nice floater. So we will keep COP on watch. I wouldn't hesitate, honestly, to take the trade. And I'm just seeing if there's anything that would change my mind if we did a top-down analysis. I have 99.64. But yeah, we can get as high from what I can see as the 102 area. So I think there's a chance that they could come back and close the gap. And then even on the 3 hour, look at this flag that we're kind of building here. So you can add COP to your watch list. Again, this was another signal from the Wolf Discord where we get real-time trade alerts based off of confirmations from the system that we use. So COP, another one on my list. T-Mobile. So T-Mobile is on my list because we got a nice pullback after this run here. And so it pulled back $6.21. Here was their earning results on July 23rd, right? So, I mean, not super strong on revenue when you look at percentage wise. They did have a 6% beats on earnings. So here's the thing, we pulled back right to this wick here at 251.75. I'm going to keep watching that. And when we're looking for a support to hold there, if not, I would think we're coming somewhere back around this anchor VWAP and the support line here before we do anything. And maybe even this order block that you see here on my chart and pick up some buyers in this order block. It's a bullish order block where we should have buyers sitting in position. And we would typically see an immediate reaction. You can almost set an alert, right? That if price ever comes back to 241.90 on T-Mobile, and we're not looking at a pullback because of bad news. I'm going to actually set my alert so I don't forget. Real time. So we're looking at T-Mobile to potentially pull back. I mean, if it just keeps coming down, we can embrace that. What you can do is set yourself actually a high and low alert from Friday. And if you get a continuation breaking the low, then look to target somewhere around 248, even 246.87, previous week low. So you can just keep going down. But here's our ideal entry point, right around the 200, right at this order block where we see demand did pick up and they were able to make a move post earnings. So they had a nice gap up for earnings, pulled back, then did another gap up, breaking the anchor VWAP from the earnings that I used, and then so forth. So I like T-Mobile, and as you can see, we still have not come back yet from that move to test this order block. So if they come back and grab some liquidity, moving either further down before the move up, we like that. So don't over don't get ahead of this trade. Just plan it. Set some alerts, see where we land. Set a previous day high and low. Um, Obviously this is a big range. So if their ATR is 478, their next candle could just be inside of this range here. We just watch until we get an ideal entry point. And then you can map it out from a smaller time frame to where you could enter. But ideally, the lower you can get, the better on this one. I don't think there was any bad news. I'll do a little bit more digging. But yeah, nice pullback on T-Mobile. I would say we can do a top-down analysis and see where this one could land. And here's the thing. If it does bounce from here and maybe gets above 254.26, and we get a weekly floating candle, that's at level 3 that I told you about above the 12. We also have an inverse arc and we're above a trend line. If that plays out, then yeah, look for us to come to that daily order block that we saw here, 263.18, possibly even wicking through that, sort of like this candle here. So, um, oh, sorry, this is the 3-day, but even better because now we see in the 3-day that there is an order block that we need to be mindful of. So again, nice pullback just to lead to a potential move to 260. So I like T-Mobile. I won't cover too much more on it. You can check that one out. I did want to pull up the NVIDIA chart. Someone mentioned in Discord, and I actually had that one on my watch list. 3-day chart, we're on the 12 EMA from that pullback we had. Obviously, the monthly is a bullish move. Let's just see here. I had this little box from a smaller time frame, but there was a gap that I was waiting for NVIDIA to fill. That took place already. So let's see. What happened with NVIDIA? We're on a daily chart. We lost a 12 EMA. We had an arc. We were already getting a signal of weakness and a pullback, which we did. We pulled right back through the 12 EMA, broke a low of a candle from August 15th. And we even at one point, if you look at the weekly chart, which is why I had this particular level on alert. So my call out was if NVIDIA goes under 178.04, we're coming down more. And so from that break, even if you just took that break, NVIDIA came all the way down to 168.80. So really nice move if you caught that pullback. Okay. So we'll watch to see what NVIDIA does. Here's what we look like. On the 4-hour, we're getting close to an order block. where you should see some weakness, and that'll be around 179.35. 179.35 exact. You can set that on your chart as an alert if you're in calls. I only have a small position. Didn't want to go heavy. I need to see how this week actually moves. So we'll see what happens with NVIDIA. But ultimately, right now, we have not received the inverse arc yet, which is the WTMA. A few people are asking what that means. That is when these two lines right here in my chart, wolf trend moving average, cross over. So we'll get the green crossing over the red. It forms an inverse arc. It looks something like this. So look what happens when we got the inverse arc on NVIDIA here. We went on a nice high move, right? A nice run. We got an inverse arc right here, candles above it, not touching, and we are above the 12. And we moved all the way through to 183.30 before we got a pullback. Well, look what happens when we got the pullback. We're also getting a arc, pullback to an order block. So now you see the system working in action when we talk about the wolf chart. Inverse arc, early confirmation above the 12, jumping out of an order block. Boom, boom, boom. So if you're a visual person and you're not too sure of how the charts work, the wolf chart does it for you. It's already telling you. So all you have to do is learn the system. So here we are now after this arc here on the 4-hour chart, pulling back, rejecting in this order block, nice wick into this bullish order block, and we're just gapping back up. So NVIDIA has earnings, right, coming up on Wednesday, 27. We'll have to see what happens. If you look historically at how they move post earnings, I don't recall very many often exciting earnings for NVIDIA. Let's see, this one was after hours on the 28th. They gapped up. They closed at 134, gapped up to 143. So actually, this was a $10 move up. Immediate take profit. I think yeah, that's what happened last earnings. So you can look back historically and see how NVIDIA does post earnings to get an idea. Small gap up, immediate sell off. And maybe that's the pattern. They're gapping up and then immediately getting take profit. So here they are. Earnings was after hours on the 20th. What did we do? We gapped up, immediate pullback. So, yep. If you want to take your risk and you're not in a solid position, meaning you didn't get a great entry, I wouldn't recommend it. So, I mean, people that maybe got in these lower points, they're safe to hold a runner or so on NVIDIA through earnings, but otherwise you should not be trying to hold take profit. And if you do, it could work out for you, it may not. That's just a risk you'll take. All right, ZOM. So I closed out a swing on ZOM, and looking to see where they go from now, and maybe I'll reposition myself. I just didn't really want to hold anything. I had already been in that trade. Now, what we have here is one, I do have an anchor VWAP from their earnings. We've officially, let's zoom in so we have a better view. We've officially broken above that anchor VWAP. We've broken above the 12 EMA. On the daily chart, currently 12 challenging the 12, and my exit was because of the target of an order block here. If this gets cleared, I'm happy. And we even have a nicer move up from there, targeting as high as 118 and so forth. So with if you're not already in this trade from somewhere around here, your take profit is ideally in this area here. This was mine. Then what we're looking for is price to start holding above 113. If you can catch a nice healthy pullback somewhere around 109 and we hold near this 200, then I would look to actually reposition myself in ExxonMobil because if we get back up from there to this order block and we start working to clear it, the gap up opportunity is really nice on this one. So I still like ZOM. As you can see on the 4-hour chart, we did have a level 3. So you can further map this one out. Possibly they could still get to 111.19. Again, the better trade is if we can clear those order blocks above 113. And we have a nice target somewhere where it could, do a little bit of bouncing around, but eventually get to 118. So this would be a swing potential with time on my contract. And What I do really want to see is price holding above the 200 because we know the 200 EMA is significant. And so if price is able to hold above it, here's like an example, right? We start to break above. I'll clear off the wolf roll for a second. Okay. So this is my 200, the yellow line, whenever we flip red, that's because we're losing price under it, right? So when we break above it, here's a nice move, right? So from 110 all the way up to about 115, that's about a $5 move on ZOM, something to consider. This is a beautiful arc. We've broken again above anchor VWAP, above the 12, and we're challenging the 200. We need candles to hold the 200. Maybe again we get a pullback, validate that we're breaking and holding above the 200. Then the next scenario you'll look for is something like this, when you have your 12 crossing above the 200. So where you see the 12 holding above the 200 with price, again, another nice signal. So your hurdle will be this range here until ZOM can start breaking through and hold above 113. This is where you have a lot of chop and a potential rejection and a pullback to validate where we have some solid support. So that's the story on ZOM. I did put out a trade plan on EW already. I updated the trade plan. It actually has been a nice trade since the last time I shared it with you guys. But here's the thing, we had a level 3 confirmation, a nice pullback here. Look at the wick. We validated price holding above this trend line with this pullback. So we'll see how we open up with EW. You could watch to see if price can get above 81, 84, 82.26, and then we're going to come challenge 83 and make our move. So if we get above 83, look at the space that we have here to just make a nice move. I'm in longer on this one, so we'll see what plays out from there. I'm not in a rush. I've already trimmed. I already did a rinse and repeat on shorter date, so I've been enjoying this one. So it's something you don't have to babysit. Just let it work. It's already given the inverse arc. Again, it's already gave the level 3, gave a healthy pullback and nice pop closing for the day above the previous day, which was Thursday. And I like that. I like that it did that. So we'll see what happens. The trade plan on EW, I'll reshare. No, I think I shared it Friday, so it should still be in play. Just let me know if you don't see it. I'll probably post it on YouTube as a post so you'll have it. It'll give you entry. It'll also give you take profits. Lululemon. So here we are. We have again another stock with a nice inverse arc. Shout out to my brothers in the Wolf Discord because y'all called this one and I definitely had to take a part in that. So we have a nice opportunity here if we can hold above the 12 to start facing some higher price targets. I have 216.52 marked on my chart, basing it somewhere around this support here. Um, so I'll do a deeper dive on Lulu. They have earnings on the 4th of September. So not this week, but next week. We have an order block sitting all the way here where we can come back and test the 200. And what I'm wondering is if they start to get that nice slump pre-earnings, and if they do with that nice pump pre-earnings, then guess what? You've made your money well before earnings posting. They probably still have to come battle right here around this 210 to start to reclaim the 200 starting here. And that might be a nice area to also watch if you don't get in earlier than that. So we'll see what happens with this one. I like the setup. I don't really see anything that would spook me out of this trade yet. And I think any pullback is probably going to be a good one. There's a nice move that they can make to the upside. And that's what I'll be watching. And so I'm basing a liquidity grab and my target at 216.52. Um, that would be the first hurdle. And then if they start to break above 220, 219, 220, then we have some upper room that we can reach. But my target is really right now just to get to 216. 210, 216, and we climb from there. But Lulu looks good pre-earnings, and you may be able to catch a nice pre-earnings pump. I always like those because then you just take the worry off of holding any positions through the earnings. So we've covered NVIDIA. Someone mentioned SPY. You guys know I'm a QQQ girly, but I want to cover SPY for my SPY traders. Clear off what we so SPY actually gave some nice moves. Here's the thing with SPY. We didn't get back to this order block yet. So QQQ was able to reach a daily order block. NVIDIA was able to reach a daily order block. Um, However, SPY has not reached that order block right here at 626.39. I am going to keep that alert there as an ideal target. We have a wide range, even with the Qs and SPY to trade on tomorrow. So with them having a move of $9.77 on the daily, their range could be in between the high and the low of Friday's candle. Now, where you get a breakout is if they start to really break those levels, right? So under or above. Watch for that. But that's going to be your main range. Let's look at the weekly real quick. Still haven't really came back to the weekly 12 yet. Something to watch. They did wick through the low of the previous week at 634.66. A nice recovery there. So the thing with SPY is you may get an inside day. Doesn't mean that it's not anything that you can trade. You can certainly trade it. Maybe take it down to the 1 hour and 15 minutes to catch some day trades. Just remember the ideal full range is $9 up or down for SPY because of Friday's pump. So where we would want to see SPY go from there is breaking above 646.19. That's where you would want to see SPY. If you look at the overall trend of SPY, we're above our 12. We're on our 12, but trying to break back above it after losing it. And we're well above the 200. So if we just look at, for a second, we take some of this off and we look at it. Um, we broke the high of this candle, giving us that break of structure. We put in a new high, a new low. So sort of still on the higher low, higher high, higher low trend until that is proven wrong. This is just a healthy pullback, honestly. I don't really see a worry, especially with us reclaiming the 12. I think there was take profits and some risk all because of the Jackson Hole and Fed Powell speaking on Friday. Let's just see how we do. Again, there's still the 626.39 that sits on my mind. And I just wonder when price will return back here. So I'm just going to leave that on my chart. If price gets back here, just know I want to take calls immediately as soon as I can on SPY. So I'll be watching once price gets here, I'm dropping down to smaller time frames and looking for an entry because we have to come back here eventually. I'll show you an example from the queues. So if you're wondering what to do with SPY, remember we're at all-time highs right here on SPY. And so your breakout has to still be about above 646.19. They closed at 645.31. Actually, they hit 646.50. I wasn't watching Spy Friday. I had QQQ up. So we'll have to see what happens, but you're remember we're at all-time highs. So if the continuation happens, you'll have to pop in a fib to get your projections. You can also use ATR to get an average idea projection of where they can go from here. We're looking again only at the daily chart of SPY. Otherwise, if we start pulling back, we start rejecting, if we lose a 12 again, my projection is that we have to come back to 626.39. The thing is, NVIDIA is reporting earnings, so we really have to watch the moves of QQQ as it likes to ride with NVIDIA. This line here, 571.57 on QQQ, is where I see previous week low from the week before last. And I marked that. We lost that. If you caught the loss, you caught the significant support I had, then you were able to capitalize all the way down to this order block. So look at this order block. Remember that SPY has one similar on their daily chart. But if we get to it, look what QQQ did. Immediate wick. We had not come back to this order block, so it was just an untested zone from the last pump up. Getting back to it, I was already closing positions because guess what? We wicked right through, wick right back up and pulled back a little bit. This was the inside candle. Then you get your breakout, broke the high of that, broke the previous week high, which was very important. Closed slightly above it, so I'll be watching again to see what NVIDIA and QQQ does together. I don't have too much plans to trade a lot next week. But if I catch a nice swing that I can position myself into beyond what I'm already positioned in, then I will. Actually, I do have NVIDIA. I do have EW. I do have Lulu. And I'll give you one more. I'll give you guys Lily. So if you stuck to the end of this video, here's Lily. Lily still has a gap to fill, um, right here. So in this area here, and so Lily is still able to break out more. This was just a pullback. And so if you can see Lily still holding above the 12 and they start breaking above the high, I have 719.46 as a nice break point. If they can break above that, look at the gap they still have to fill. They have this gap here to fill all the way up to about 725, potentially 727. This could be a choppy area. So you really want to be mindful as you get to 725 to be able to tighten up any positions you're in, just in case we reject there and then we have to come back down. Here's the last time we were there in May and breaking out of it. Lily went on a really long, extended run. Here we are again with an inverse arc, breaking above the 12. And so if you can get that break above 719.46 for sure, and we're holding support above 708.66, above 714.26, then you can see and anticipate potentially a test somewhere around closest to 725. We have to break above this resistance line, similar to what you've seen in the past. This has always been an area to pay attention to. It remains the same. So Lily, you can still keep on your watch. They have a really nice opportunity to come up and close this gap. So we'll see if that happens. This was a post earnings gap down. So just wanted to bring that one to your attention as well. I'm going to stop sharing here. Again, if you found this video helpful, please do leave a comment, like, and subscribe. One more bonus that I will give you is that if you check the comment section after watching this video, I will be posting a link to access the free portion of the Wolf Discord where you can connect with other traders of the Wolf chart. We're not just focused on helping those who use the Wolf chart. You will get support whether you use the Wolf chart or not. Sean is doing a great job of hosting lives for beginner traders now. So that way, if you're a beginner trader trying to understand and identify trends, where to enter and exit, if you become a part of the Discord, whether free access or full access with the Wolf chart, then you will get what you need out of it. So if you're interested in seeing what the Discord is like, who's up in there, and if it's a beneficial Discord for you, then you can use the link that will be there. If you find that you like what you see in the Discord and want more access, you just have to use the link in my bio. And you can also use the link in my Discord bio, or here I'll leave the link in the comments as well to get access to the Wolf chart. Thank you. And again, always appreciative of the support. You all have a great week. Bye.